Welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. I am your host, Martel Llewellyn. We're pushing to 5,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you guys for all the support. Today, we have a legend in the building. Everybody knows who this man is within the basketball community. Chilltown Hoops. How are you doing today, Chilltown?
What's up, brother? Always got time to talk some good basketball, man. I do. Always got time to talk some good basketball. Absolutely. How you running?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Now, before we begin, Chilltown, for the people who don't know you, just give a quick introduction and where can they find you on social media platforms?
I'm Chilltown Hoops. You can find me on TikTok, Chilltown CHLTWN32. You can find me on YouTube at Chilltown Hoops. I'm not hard to find at all. So I do a show on TikTok 9 a.m. called Good Morning NBA, and I'm on the panel from 11 to 2 on YouTube, Players Choice Network. So I'm not hard to find.
Perfect. So today we're going to be talking about the Miami Heat because, Chilltown, he is a Miami Heat fan. There's so many things going on right now. The Jimmy Butler stuff with him getting older in terms of should the Miami Heat move on from him or not. Bam Adebayo, he is, starting to become our franchise player. There's so many different questions about Tyler Hero. We also have a young core in Jaime and Jovic and KEL'EL Ware possibly. So let's start off with Jimmy Butler. There's a lot of people that say that Jimmy Butler, he doesn't have it anymore, or maybe, he's trolling during the regular season. Sure. What should the Miami Heat do with an aging superstar in Jimmy Butler, who I think he's done well with what he's been given compared to all these other teams across the NBA?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm not a specific team fan. I'm more of a fan of players, but I do watch the Miami Heat. I'm down here in South Florida. I've gone to a couple of games. I do that, but I'm in the minority. I'm ready to move off of buckets, and I want to build this thing around Bam. And the reason why I say that is because you got Jimmy Butler in 2019 and the 2020 season. He was 29 years old. He was in his prime. So with that being said, over the last 5 years, right? Over the last 5 years, it'll be 35 on opening night. Over the last 5 years, you got all-pro. You got 2 all-pro seasons. You got an all-league defensive season. You got 2 trips to the NBA Finals in 5 years. With that being said, you've probably gotten everything you're going to get out of buckets. He's clearly not your guy in terms of winning an NBA championship as a number one. You've seen what you can get from him going that far. We're in a space right now with Bam where Bam, I feel like he's in his peak years. I already think he's in his prime, but I feel like we got a 3-year window, 3-4-year window where it's peak Bam. Very much like with Kevin Garnett from, I believe, like 2001 to 2004, like or Tim Duncan, where it was 2001 to 2005. These are peak Bam years, and I don't want to waste any more of those years. Not that I wasted any of them, because I still think that this crew, I still think that this team is viable, but I don't want to forge any more seasons with Bam when I have an opportunity in these peak years to maximize them. So how can I do that? The way I can do that is I can move off of buckets, and I feel like I can trade him, because there's a reason why Pat Riley doesn't want to pay him. The reason why Pat Riley doesn't want to pay him, one, the whole him not being available during the regular season, that's not going over very well with Pat Riley. Jimmy Butler over the last 10 years, he's averaged 62 games, and then he'll show up in the playoffs. But if you notice Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, he'll have 1 or 2 great series, and everybody thinks that Jimmy Butler is Giannis or he's Luka or somebody like that in the playoffs. He's a damn good player in the playoffs. I'll never argue that. Never argue that. But I think you've gotten everything that you're going to get out of Jimmy Butler from this point moving forward. And I feel like the money that he's asking for, Pat Riley is not feeling paying Jimmy Butler $52, $53 million at 37, 38 years old. He's not feeling that. And I don't blame him. While I can have a guy like Bam, whom I feel like I got a guy that I can build my unit around and I can maximize him. He's a 20-10 guy on the regular. On a Tuesday, he is, with elite defense. I don't know how many guys in the league that I'm getting 20-10 from that are elite defenders. I can get 20-10 from some guys, but an elite defender also, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to get that from a bunch of – I can probably talk about a handful of guys that I'm going to get that from. Giannis, Anthony Davis, in terms of elite defense, right? So if I'm going to get, if I have that on my unit, I have to maximize that at every possible turn. And I feel like with these Olympics, I feel like Spo sees how Steve Kerr is using Bam, and I think he's going to implement that coming back home.
So then there's a lot of Miami Heat fans that will say that the Miami Heat never really got Jimmy Butler help. Do you agree with that? Because, they got Kyle Lowry because of Jimmy Butler. And there's a lot of people that will say, Kyle Lowry, of course, to me, he could have been better because, he was out of shape, overweight the whole time. And the fact that he chose to come to Heat culture when he could have went to any other team, he came to the Miami Heat knowing what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? So do you think that the Miami Heat got Jimmy Butler like enough help? Plus, we had to deal with all those injuries as well.
I think they maximized Jimmy Butler in terms of, now the talent level might not have been what you guys would like it to be, because I feel like we live in a time where you got to get a bomb squad, when in reality, if you look at the landscape of the NBA and you look at champions, so if you look at what Milwaukee did, okay, they ended up getting Drew Holiday, but in addition to getting Drew Holiday, they got Giannis in the draft. They got Middleton in the draft, right? This Golden State Warrior team, they got Curry in the draft. They got Clay in the draft, right? They got Dre in the draft. They built that unit around these guys, and it was homegrown. The same logic goes for the Miami Heat. They got Tyler Hero in the draft. They got Bam in the draft. They got Caleb Martin in the draft, right? They got a bunch of your guys, core guys in the draft. Getting a guy like Kyle Lowry, who was basically over as an elite guard, I don't think that there's anybody who will argue that Kyle Lowry at that stage was over as an elite guard. I don't think it was bad, but if you had more talent at the guard, and it didn't help that Tyler Hero got injured, because if Tyler Hero was healthy, I think we'd be having a different conversation. I'm not sure that they beat Denver, because I feel like Denver was too much, and the fact that Jimmy Butler had to carry the load that he had to carry, I don't think that it was enough to beat Joker and Jamal Murray. But in terms of them having enough talent, I mean, they had enough talent to get there. It was obvious that they had enough talent to get there, and Jimmy Butler raised his game. But when you get to the NBA Finals, I got to be honest with you, Martel, man. A lot of people think that it's just talent, and it's not. It's not. You need a bunch of things to go your way in order to win the NBA championship. It's not just, I'm better than you. No, injuries come into play. Play comes into play, style of play, all of that stuff comes into play. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like Jimmy Butler wasn't better than Joker, because when we get to that level in the NBA Finals where it's basically my best player against your best player, that's basically at the top of the list. But the style of play matters too. So the way Joker had those guys playing off of him, the fact that Miami didn't feature Bam more in the offense, because he went after Joker. And I thought that he was really successful offensively going after Joker. And the fact that they didn't feature him more in the offense says a lot to me about what kind of game plan that they had. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Joker was a handful, and there was really not much you can do with him. From a passing standpoint, from a scoring standpoint, it was going to be very difficult to beat them. But in terms of a talent, I feel like Miami maximized their talent, and I feel like they did it the right way. When homegrown is talent, when getting Max Strus undrafted, getting Caleb Martin undrafted, getting Jimmy Butler in free agency. Tyler Hero was a middle first-round pick. Bam Adebayo was a middle first-round pick. We're talking about a guy who now is an elite franchise player. Right? So I think that Pat Riley did a great job in maximizing that, but it's obvious that the talent level does have to increase in order for them to in order for them to have a legit shot. And with that being said, Martel, I got to tell you, man, that's why I'm ready to move off of buckets, and I want to build this thing around Bam.
So do you think that Bam is a superstar? Because there's a lot of people who will give me pushback on that, but it's like what you said. He's averaging 20 and 10. Okay, he's the best defender in the NBA. To me, only because when you look at Rudy and all these other guys, can they guard 1 through 5? To me, defense is a little bit more than just blocking shots and getting steals, because sometimes you can benefit from the guys around you. So a guy like Rudy, he's benefiting from, Cat. He's benefiting from Edwards. When Bam Adebayo has been pretty much anchoring a top 5 or top 10 defense throughout these past few years, pretty much by himself when you think about it, because Kyle Lowry, he was older. Tyler Hero, he's in and out of the lineup. Jimmy, he's in and out of the lineup. Caleb Martin or Haywood Highsmith are 6'5", 6'6" on a good day. Bam Adebayo was doing it by himself. So not only is he giving you the playmaking and the rebounding and the defending, but he's giving you the 20 and 10. So do you think he's a superstar in the NBA? Because when you see him with Team USA playing with real NBA talent, you're like, oh my gosh, look what he's able to do.
Sure. Now, when you think about what exactly a superstar is, I equate a superstar in terms of the criteria to a guy who, we're building our unit around you. You embody everything that we stand for as a unit, and you are our franchise player, and you go out and you perform that way every night. There again, I can't bring this up to you guys enough. When we're talking about 20 and 10 guys, 20 and 10 guys are at a premium in the NBA. 20 and 10 guys are not just growing on trees. 20 and 10 guys who are elite defenders are at a premium. And Bam is one of those guys. Giannis is a 20 and 10 guy. Joker is a 20 and 10 guy. When you're talking to Anthony Davis is a 20 and 10 guy, these guys are premium guys, particularly bigs. So when I have a guy in Bam who they're playing off me as a defender. So with Rudy Gobert, he's playing off of those guys because he did have Anthony Edwards, 100%. Cat was better as a defender because of Rudy, right? Naz Reid was also playing off of him, but he was also playing off of Naz Reid. Rudy was the anchor, no doubt about that. But when I think about a superstar, I feel like he embodies everything about this team, and he brings what this team needs in order to win. Now, could they be better? I'm in the minority when I feel like Bam almost has shackles on him. Because I think that 20, 21 a game, I think Bam could be a 24 to 26 a game guy. And the reason why I feel like that is because I watch him in transition. I think he could be a better stop and pop guy. I watch him in transition. I think he could be a better lane filler. I watch him in the one-on-one when guys are working off him with split action, not just with split action, but with pick and dive and pick and pop. I watch how much better he is in the mid-range. And I feel like if he had that freedom to do that more, and I feel like he would be so much better if they ran that through him. Well, Bam couldn't really do that. Well, we didn't know that about a bunch of guys in terms of scoring until they actually did it. We didn't know Kawhi Leonard was a bucket getter when he first came into the league. He turned into that eventually. Why? Because the shackles were taken off of him. I feel like Bam in this offense, and I think you're going to see it this season coming up, where I feel like Eric Spoelstra sees how much better Bam is, and I feel like he unlocks him more.
Now, there's a lot of Miami Heat fans that want to trade Tyler Hero. I think that he's a good player. I think he really shot himself in the foot when he said that he's in the same conversation as Luka, Trey, and Ja, which I saw you talk about on the Players' Choice the other day. When, don't get me wrong, like, is he supposed to be a, competitive young player? Of course, but, Luka, Trey, and Ja, they lead their team. Sure. Compared to Tyler Hero at that time, he was coming off the bench. So what do the Miami Heat player do with a three-point shooter who's 24 years old, who has the potential, but like what you said, once you start getting into year 6 or 7, you are who you are. So what do we do with Tyler Hero going forward? Do we trade him? Do we keep him? What do we do?
Well, one of the things that I really enjoy about Tyler Hero, and a lot of people, because they see him get buckets, automatically want to insert him into the starting five. I think Tyler Hero has one of the best opportunities to be one of the best rotation guards in the league, if not the best rotation guard in the league. Just in the same category with guys like Malik Monk, with Naz Reid, where every year, like Lou Williams, like Jamal Crawford, where he was up for 6th man of the year every year, because I think he's that good as a rotation player. I don't think that he's a starter more than he is a rotation guy. And the fact that he can give you, he can just be respectable on defense. He's not a cone. Not only is he not a cone, he is tough. I think the problem that you've had with Tyler Hero is health. If Tyler Hero can stay healthy, and if Tyler Hero can be on the floor, he's much more effective. 1, healthy, and 2, as a rotation player. Because when I watch him as a rotation player, there aren't many second unit guys who play with him who are as good or as talented as him. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that you want to big yourself up. I understand that you want to tell everybody, yo, I'm nice as this dude. I'm nice as that dude. Okay, we do have eyes, and we know what looks good and what things look like. And you aren't Luka Doncic. We know that. I think you know that too. I think you know that you're not Trae Young. Okay, I think we know that. I think you know that too. But as a rotation guard, right? As a rotation guard in the NBA, I think he could be one of the better guards. I'm not interested in trading off of him. I'm not interested in moving off of him. I feel like you can enhance his role as a rotation guard and make him even more viable. The problem that we're having with Tyler Hero is that he hasn't been healthy, and that's what's kind of thrown a monkey wrench in what you guys have been doing.
Now, KEL'EL WARE. I think that KEL'EL WARE has been an absolute steal for the Miami Heat. I think he's the best big man coming out of this draft. The fact that he's a 7-footer that can shoot the 3, he can rebound, he's blocking everything moving. How do you feel about KEL'EL WARE? And I think that KEL'EL WARE, maybe not this year, I still think he has to put on some size. Sure. But the Miami Heat, I think that they're phenomenal with the weight room and the conditioning. Sure. How do you feel about the potential of KEL'EL WARE and even him playing next to Bam Adebayo?
The thing that I enjoy the most, and I've been an advocate of this. If you've heard anything that I say, I think Bam is a four man more than anything. I've always felt like Bam is a four man. So now you get this big body in KEL'EL Ware, who at the five plays like a big. I personally think Zach Edey is the best big man in this draft. I think he's better than Klingon. I think he could be, barring injury, I think he could be the best big man in this draft. With that being said, I think KEL'EL Ware provides exactly what you guys need at the five spot, because now you can move Bam to the four. It's very much like what you're going to see with Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr., very much like what you saw with Cat moving to the four with Rudy Gobert. That defender, not only that defender, the fact that him offensively, how much more portable he is, how much more of a stretch four he can be, how much more dynamic he can be offensively, how much more things you can use with him. So now, one, Bam can take advantage more of mismatches. Not only can he take advantage more of mismatches, I feel like he can be an even better rebounder, because at the four, now he's going to probably play against smaller fours. In the process of him playing against smaller fours, that big guy in Ware, he's going to occupy those fives, which means that Bam is going to be able to crash the glass more. Bam is going to be able to be even better defensively. Now, when we're talking about offense, Bam, these guys play off of him in terms of cross screen action, in terms of pick and dive. The fact that Ware isn't just a big body, he's a guy who's got a great touch around the rim. Not only does he have great touch around the rim, he's a deer. When I say he's a deer, he runs the floor with some of the best of them. With him doing that, I think that you have a guy who can enhance Bam's game, which I go back to my original logic, my man. I want to move off of buckets. I want to move off of buckets, and I want to enhance these guys.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I think that the Miami Heat, they have a very young core. I mean, we've been talking for now, 16 minutes, and we haven't even got, Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Nikola Jovic, So what are your opinions on those two guys? Because I really do think we have a gem in Jaime Jaquez junior What he's able to do. He's kind of like a Jimmy Butler, like in terms of he's pretty much good at everything. He's not necessarily the best at one thing, but he can give you a lot. So how important is this season for Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Nikola Jovic? Because Jovic is playing right now for Serbia.
If there's a player that I would look at in the NBA and go, he's a Laker or he's a Knick, every time I watch Jaime Jaquez, I'm like, he looks like a Miami Heat. Even if he didn't play for the Miami Heat, that's what I would think, because he looks like he fits that culture. He fits that style. The Lakers didn't make the mistake that they made the year before, passing on a grown-up in Jaime Jaquez, who was right down the block. They didn't make that mistake again when they drafted Dalton. The Miami Heat found a guy who, one, is an adult, two, is a quick study, and three, does everything necessary for this particular unit and for this Heat culture. He does everything necessary in order to be productive. He knocks down the long ball. I think that he's going to get better on defense. I don't think that there's a question about his toughness. I think he can handle the ball with some of the best of the young rookies, young wings in the game. And I think that's going to get better. I feel like his ability to stretch the defense, which I watched in the summer league, I think that's going to enhance Miami even more. You guys found a gem. I'm actually on record saying that watching Jaime Jaquez, with the exception of Danny Ainge getting charged with a felony for what he did to Brooklyn, I think that the Miami Heat should be charged with a felony for bagging Jaime Jaquez the way that they did. Because the fact that all of you guys passed on him, and he just works right in with what they're doing. Now, as far as Jovic, a lot of people think that being a rotation guy is a bad thing. That's why I dig Ware, because Ware at the five, Bam at the four, and now you got both Tyler Hero and Jovic coming off your bench. Those are rotation guys that a lot of teams don't have. That's firepower that a lot of teams don't have. And Jovic's kind of fits into, for me, he kind of fits into a Detlef Schrempf role for me. He can come off the bench and immediately give you buckets. I feel like he can rebound the basketball. I was a little nervous watching him earlier in the year. And the reason why I was nervous, because it didn't seem like he was getting it. Well, the reason why he wasn't getting it is because he wasn't playing very much. That's probably why. I feel like once he plays more, even if it's in a rotation role, I feel like he plays more. He's one of those Euros that's a quick study, and I feel like he can be really instrumental in what the Miami Heat are doing. But as far as Jaime Jaquez, I think you got your small forward for the next 10 years. I do. I think you got your starting small forward for the next 10 years, right? When I saw Dwayne Wade, this was in 2005. I remember watching Dwayne Wade, and I'm not saying that Jaime Jaquez is Dwayne Wade good, but I remember watching Dwayne Wade, and I said, that's your starting two guard for the next 10 years right there. I think you straight. I feel the same way about Jaime Jaquez in terms of you having that role filled. I think you got your starting small forward for the next 10 years.
So Terry Rozier, we traded for him, but unfortunately, he got hurt right before the playoffs. How big is Terry Rozier's impact going to be? Because this Miami Heat team, we've lacked scoring. We can't even score 90 points sometimes. I don't know why Spo really can't figure it out. When you think about it, Tyler, Jimmy, and Bam have been together for 5 years, and we're still struggling with scoring.
Sure.
We're still struggling with having a fluid offense. So how big is Terry Rozier going to be for this Miami Heat squad?
I actually think that Tyler Hero is actually going to be big off the strength of him being healthier. Terry Rozier, I actually think you can upgrade at the lead guard spot. And what I mean when I say upgrade at the lead guard spot, and I caught a lot of heat for this, but I don't like the 3-guard rotation in Memphis. So what if you called up Memphis and asked for Marcus Smart? I think he's perfect for what you guys are doing. I don't know if they would hand him over, but the fact that Marcus Smart, who can stretch the defense, who also is a defender, in addition to him being a defender, he is a distributor and a floor leader. The fact that you guys, your offense is what it is, I think you can be a little bit better because you can speed the game up. And I feel like Bam is going to do that this year. But I feel like if you got a lead guard, which is better than Terry Rozier, because I'm not a huge Terry Rozier fan. I feel like he was in a culture in Charlotte that was a losing culture. I feel like he was in a culture in Charlotte that had no direction. And the fact that he had to make the transition to the Miami Heat culture, I think it was a difficult thing for him. And on top of that, this window isn't open long. So I feel like with Terry Rozier, I don't think he's whack. I want to make sure that we clear on that, my man. I don't think he's whack. I don't think he's a bad player, but I feel like you can do better at the lead guard than him. And I feel like if you upgraded that spot for a little bit of money too, I don't think that you got to pay a lot for a competent lead guard. I think that you can be better. And the fact that you guys can play faster, I think that that's more important. I think Spo is one of the best coaches in the game. The fact that guys like Terry Rozier, who can shoot the long ball but is a bit inconsistent, the fact that Tyler Hero was hurt but can be on the floor more if he's healthy, I think he enhances your long ball game. I think Bam enhances your offense off the strength that he can get downhill. He can be more of a stop and pop guy. I think that enhances your offense. Jovic coming off the bench, being a long ball shooter. I think that Jaime Jaquez getting better this year from what I've seen in the summer league. He's going to be better. That's all going to be predicated on, 1, your lead guard, and 2, playing faster. You played with one of the slowest paces in the game last year. One of the reasons why you did that is because of buckets. A lot of that is because of buckets. And another reason why is because of Bam. And Bam not being able to show and flourish and be that transition player that I think he can be. 100% I believe he can be that.
So where do you have the Miami Heat stacked up right now going into next season? I know a lot of people are going to say that the Miami Heat, they're going to be cooked, they're going to be trashed, but, with Spo, he's always going to have his team, ready to go and prepared. And especially with Jimmy Butler coming back with something to prove in terms of his contract season, Bam's coming off the Olympics, and our young guys, being ready to play. Where do you see the Miami Heat stacked up in the Eastern Conference, where the Boston Celtics, they're not going anywhere. The New York Knicks have made significant moves, especially with adding, just Mikal Bridges and OG on the defensive end can give any team nightmares. Giannis and Dame, even though they made the biggest mistake. They should have never have given away Drew Holiday. I think that they should have traded Middleton, in my opinion, only because before, Drew got there, he's the reason why they won the chip.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So where do the Miami Heat stack up in a crazy Eastern Conference?
Well, if you look at the Eastern Conference, like you just said, Boston is the only lock. The New York Knicks, the issues that they have in terms of stretching the defense, I think that their game is going to be predicated on dirty work. Well, that's the Miami Heat also. Their game is going to be predicated on dirty work. And I don't think that New York stretches the defense enough to have to contend with teams like the Boston Celtics. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are fool's gold. I said that last year. I'm still on that. The problem that we're having with the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis has to do so much because they have nobody on the perimeter to protect Damian Lillard as a defender. Nobody. And that's still going to be a problem moving forward. They passed on this kid Dunn from Virginia. I thought he would have been great for them. I feel like the Miami Heat, I feel like they can contend because I think, Martel, this season, I feel like Bam's going to get unlocked more. I think they could contend for a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. That would not surprise me if they were better offensively, if they were better defensively. I think they could contend for a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference off the strength of the talent that they have, how that talent is materializing and getting better. Guys like Jaime Jaquez getting better, Tyler Hero staying healthy, the fact that you still got a vet in Kevin Love, Jovic coming off the bench, having Ware turn into the player that I think he's going to turn into, and playing the 5 and moving Bam to the 4, which I feel like is going to enhance your offense. Having all of that stuff, I feel like you guys can be a top 5 seed in the East.
Now, so you mentioned, Bam Adebayo's future and possibly trading Jimmy Butler. So hypothetically, what other star would you like to pair with Bam Adebayo to maximize him? I know, to me, Donovan Mitchell, he made a huge mistake, in my opinion. I don't think those guys in Cleveland are legit, especially when you have a guy in Jared Allen saying that the lights are too bright. Darius Garland with the small backcourt really has never worked. And Mobley, which, you're also very critical of him as well. I just don't think his offensive bag has really transformed over the past few years. Right. So to me, I think a perfect guy next to Bam Adebayo is maybe like an Anthony Edwards or a De'Aaron Fox. So who would you want to pair Bam, with for the future before we close?
Initially, I thought it was Trae Young, but then I thought to myself, Trae Young doesn't embody anything about the Miami Heat. He doesn't defend at a high level. Sure, he distributes, but he doesn't defend at a high level. He's a questionable shot taker, which can thwart your offense. So I'm going to pass on Trae Young. Plus, I don't think Atlanta's handing him over to you guys. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure it's another star, right? Because we've seen what that's done over the last couple of years, right? With the super teams, they don't work more than they work. So I do think that you need another star. I won't argue that point. I do think that you need another. I do think that you need another high level player, but I don't think you need a superstar, because I feel like with Tyler Hero, with Bam, with Jaime Jaquez, with Ware, with the way that this unit is being built, and it's being built around Bam, I think that another Jaylen Brown type of guard, I think that kind of guard would really help you guys get better. To be honest with you, I would actually love Jimmy Butler 5 years ago. I think he would be perfect for you guys. If we could turn back the clock and get buckets at 29 again for this unit, I think you got a much better shot as opposed to 35-year-old Jimmy Butler. I think that he's kind of coming in on the back end of what these guys are doing. But when I think about another star player, I'm thinking somebody on the lines of a Jaylen Brown type of player. Not necessarily a 25 or 30 a game guy. I'm thinking about a guy like maybe DeMar DeRozan, younger. Like I'm thinking about somebody like that, another wing scorer that can play off of Bam and be just a threat for Bam, as opposed to I need Donovan Mitchell. Because to be honest with you, I'm not sure if Donovan Mitchell fits with what you guys are doing. I think you got the buckets collectively, plus with the defense with Bam, because I think that's what your crew is going to be predicated on. It's very much like what they're doing with the New York Knicks. This team is going to be predicated on grit, dirty work, rebounding, defense. I think that's what this Miami Heat team is going to be predicated on, with Bam being more of a 23 to 25 a game guy this season. In addition to that, if you could get another guard that's a 22, 21 a game guy, I think you'll be good.
Now, Showtime, once again, thank you for coming on the show. Where can the people find you on YouTube or social media?
Every day, 9 a.m. I'm on TikTok. 9 a.m. It's called Good Morning NBA. I do that 9 a.m. at Chilltown Hoops, Chilltown 32. You can find me there. And after that, I'm on a panel every day, Monday to Friday, 11 to 2 on the Players Choice Network. If I'm not there, I'm on Chilltown Hoops Tuesday night with my good friend Fluent. We do Fluent and Chill on Tuesday nights. I do my live streams on Chilltown Hoops Monday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. So, and on Saturday, me and my good friend Big Ox, we do Chill with Chill on YouTube on the Players Choice Network. So I'm not hard to find at all.
Guys, so make sure that you guys go over to his platforms, hit that subscribe button. And guys, thank you for all the support. Guys, remember, we're pushing to 5,000 subscribers. And once again, Chilltown, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, my man. Good to have me. Great to have me. It was great.